Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles, where today we join Lobstep Gaming here in a Tier 9 battle on the Himmelsdorf map. Yes, we have definitely seen this guy before, and he's going to be trying on his carry pants for us today in this encounter battle in his AMX N451 French Tier 9 heavy tank. Unsurprisingly, not a premium. And I say unsurprisingly because it is really very good. I can't help but notice a couple of funny things about these post-war French tanks though. You see the engine deck at the back, in fact the entire back of the tank, in particular the exhaust and the ventilators. They look remarkably German, don't they? Looks like the back end of a Panther or a King Tiger. Well, there's actually a very good reason for that, because one of the reasons that the French armaments industry were able to pick up their tank design so quickly at the end of World War II was that they had actually amassed a large amount of experience of building tanks during World War II. The only problem was they were building them for the Germans. Sorry France, you know I love you. Anyway. Himmelsdorf, it is encounter battle. He's going for the hill. There's a T-55A up front, getting an early position behind the rubble there. Gets off to a good start. The 120mm gun on this thing is really pretty good. It's got a decent 2-second aiming time. It's pretty accurate, and it has good penetration. And yes, Lobstep is running Arnie as his tank commander. I mean, I say this thing has good penetration. 257mm with standard ammo, and there was a time when that was considered good penetration. But those days are long gone. And yes, there is going to be a colossal amount of gold fired here. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One, this is World of Tanks, and if you can't take gold ammo spam, you shouldn't be playing this game, particularly at high tiers. But also because of the frontal armour of this thing, because this is basically an AMX M4 with improved frontal armour. The side armour's bad, which makes it very dangerous to side scrape in this thing. Oh, hang on a second. We'll come back to that in a moment. For now, he is in danger of being outflanked. The enemy are pushing pretty hard up here. He has to be careful about his turret though. This has a very strong turret with 250mm of armour, providing you can keep it pointed straight at whoever's shooting at you, like that. The cheeks, however, become extremely vulnerable if the turret is even slightly angled. This is a strong tank, but you must be aware of your surroundings, and you can see that Lobstep is aware of his surroundings. He's in danger of, well, he has been outflanked and he's pulling back. Fortunately, I think the Lorraine is reloading. Oh, careful. Took a hit from the T-28 there, but he's bouncing a metric arse ton of shells here. Even the gold ammo. From the front, this is an extremely tough machine. And one of the things that I find most amusing about this tank is if you go to the World of Tanks wiki page and you look at the pros and cons of the vehicle, the pros are fairly straightforward, and I've already covered some of them. Strong upper frontal plate, lower plate, and especially turret front protection. The turret is proof against all but the highest penetrating guns. Good handling and accuracy on both guns. He's using the 120mm gun, it has better damage per minute. Very mobile for a heavy, reaches top speed with ease. 8 degrees of gun depression. Respectable weight coupled with high mobility can lead to decent amounts of ramming damage. And an easy and enjoyable grind. So what's bad about this tank? Well, if you look at the list of things about this tank that aren't amazing, this is where you start to get the impression that maybe this tank's just a teeny little bit overpowered, because they have to really start stretching to actually make up a list of things that are bad about this tank. Actually, we'll come on to that in a moment. There's going to be a brief pause in the action where we'll have plenty of time to discuss that further, but he's been reacting very, very well to the situation here. He pulled back, keeping his front towards the enemy. He's already bounced a colossal amount of damage from the front. And, yeah, he is in danger of being outflanked here. He's looking for the shot of the enemies in front of him, but he's going to have to react to this. He takes a hit, that's fine, but that's the only hit he's going to take. The same cannot be said about that poor bastard. Ramming speed. Yep. Huge, heavy tank, very fast, lots of frontal armour. Seeing one of these things come charging down the hill towards you is often the very last thing anybody ever sees. So he's managed to get himself out of a very tight spot and bagged 2 kills into the bargain. Unfortunately, the P-44 Pantera who was with him picked that hill to die on and got his wish. You'll note that he is not side-scraping around the corner of the building here. He is instead actually exposing his admittedly angled lower plate instead of side-scraping and showing his side armour. And there's a very good reason for that, because this tank's lower plate is actually very, very tough, and the side armour is not. Large caliber guns can overmatch this thing's side armour. He's asking the Object 705 up the road there to come and help, and the Object 705 is saying, yeah, sure, I'll come and help you out. But if you look at the minimap, he's doing the exact opposite. He's heading in the other direction, so yeah. Lobstep's going to be on his own for a while here while he waits for the rest of the enemy tanks who finished off the P-44, who don't appear to be in any rush to come and join him. So while we wait, and the T-28 here is coming to help, let's discuss the hilariously desperate downsides of this tank as listed on the World of Tanks wiki page in an effort to make it look like there is actually something wrong with this machine. So as he and the T-28 go for it, let's have a look at the first weakness of this machine. The cupolas are small but still vulnerable. So it has tiny weak spots. That's listed as a downside. You can really tell that they're starting to stretch for bad things to say about this machine. Horribly oversized, not very easy to conceal when needed. So it's a heavy tank. Right? So it's got the same weaknesses as almost every other heavy tank in the game. That's not really anything special. And finally, and I love this one, you remember earlier I was saying that I thought 257mm of penetration on this tank's 120mm gun was pretty good, but those days are long gone. The final weakness of this tank on the official World of Tanks wiki page is listed as follows. High penetrating APCR rounds can penetrate your mantlet, and 330mm plus penetration ammo in general can pen you quite often frontally. That's it. The biggest tanks in the game, with the biggest guns in the game, firing gold ammo, can penetrate you quite often frontally. So let's just summarise this for you. It's about as unstealthy as any other heavy tank. Oh no. It has tiny weak spots that are very difficult to hit. Oh, you poor thing. And people with 330mm of penetration can often, not always, often penetrate you from the front. Well, this tank sounds like shit. Actually, maybe not. Yeah, I think we can all agree that this is actually a pretty strong tank. But hopefully we can all also agree that it wasn't the tank that won this battle. I mean, yeah, okay, the tank helped. But it was Lobstep's situational awareness, his positioning. I mean, you saw how this machine got spanked the second anybody had even the hint of a flanking shot. And Lobstep had to work pretty damn hard to deny them those opportunities. But Lobstep, it has to be admitted, played this tank almost perfectly. He reacted to the threats on the flank. He kept falling back to ensure that he couldn't be outflanked. Kept funneling his enemies towards his strongest frontal armour by suckering them into trying to chase him down those narrow city streets, and at the same time, when the situation allowed it, wasn't afraid to make a break for the flank and expose his weakness. You know, his actual weakness, not the fact that sometimes 330mm pen ammo might penetrate him from the front, or his tiny and hard to hit weak spots. No, his actual weakness is practically non-existent side armour by rushing out and flanking enemies that were engaged with dealing with other teammates when the situation allowed it. So, as a result of all of that, nearly 7,000 damage done and slightly over 6,000 damage blocked. Yeah, but Jingles, that's easy to do in a tank like this, especially on a map like Himmelsdorf. Well, I'll grant that it should be easy to do in a tank like this, especially on a map like Himmelsdorf. But if it was that easy, how come you don't see other AMX-51s pulling in a combined 13,000 damage game every time they show up top tier on Himmelsdorf? Yeah, not quite as easy to do in practice as everybody assumes it is in principle. So either way, well done, Lobstep. crazy game. Thanks for sending it in. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And as always, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.